We're just over halfway through the 2024 NFL season, and to say this season has been crazy is an understatement. This year's contained some of the most unpredictable events I think I've ever seen. We had some unexpected superstars, devastating collapses, controversial moments, and so much more. In this video, I'll be recapping the first half of the 2024 NFL season and giving some of my future predictions for the rest of the year. This video will be split into these 5 sections, and there are timestamps in the description if you would like to watch a certain section. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Subscribing takes a second and it really helps me out. Thank you, and let's get started. Chapter 1, Midseason Recap. So let's start with an overall recap of the 2024 NFL season so far, and there's a lot to talk about. The 2024 season started back on September 5th with the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens in an AFC Championship rematch. This was a pretty wild game that ended after Isaiah Likely's foot was less than an inch out of bounds, giving the Chiefs the win. Barely. It's okay though, I'm sure the Chiefs won't have too many more of those tight ones. They're the best team in the NFL after all, right? Then the Packers and Eagles played in Brazil in a stadium that doesn't allow green, so that's great. Even better, Jordan Love got hurt, so now the Packers season is ruined because there's no way Malik Willis is winning a game. The rest of week 1 wasn't too crazy. Sam Darnold had a great Vikings debut, and the Cowboys got a big win over the Browns to start their Super Bowl run that they went all in for during the offseason. The Jets lost their first game with Aaron Rodgers, the Lions beat Matt Stafford again, and the Saints put belt to ass against the Panthers. So much for the Bryce Young experiment, and I guess the Saints are really good now. Oh, and the Bengals began their annual tradition of sucking ass in the first week of the season. I guess some things do remain the same. Week 2 was a little wilder. The Bills killed the Dolphins, and Tua unfortunately suffered another concussion. If only there was a special helmet that helped protect against those. The Panthers got killed once again, and well, there goes Bryce Young. That was fast. Everything else was pretty normal. The Jets beat the Titans, the Chiefs beat the Bengals, the Packers beat the Colts with Malik Willis, the Raiders beat the Ravens, the Steelers beat the... Wait a minute, the Raiders beat the Ravens? Oh my god. I mean, damn, Gardner Minshew and Devonta Adams have a special connection. This could be a dangerous duo for the rest of the season. Also, the Saints killed the Cowboys 44-19 and cemented themselves as the best team in the NFL because, you know, reasons. I wouldn't worry about the Cowboys though. They usually play great at home and I know they'll turn it around. Week 3 is where things really got interesting. The Vikings killed the Texans, and I guess Sam Darnold is an MVP candidate now because why not? Andy Dalton and the Panthers killed the Raiders, so I guess the whole Gardner Minshew Devonta thing is gonna work out. Malik Willis beat his former team and is now 2-0, so sure. The Cowboys lost at home again. Okay, this is getting weird. And the Bills absolutely killed the Jaguars. And on Monday night, the Bengals got back on track against a rookie quarterback with a nice, easy win. Hold up. What? You're telling me that's not what happened? I mean, there's no way Jay Daniels in his third ever game beat Joe Burrow by putting up like 38 points or something and having the best completion percentage of all time for a rookie. And he did. Got it. Okay, so this might be pretty good at football. Week 4 was pretty average, except for our 2 games. The Vikings and Sam Darnold nearly had an Atlanta-level collapse. After going up 28-0, they nearly blew it after scoring only 3 in the first half, and the Packers scoring 29. They only won because Jordan Love in his first game back from injury had the most Brett Favre game of all time. The other notable game was the Ravens killing the Bills. The Bills have looked like one of the best teams in the NFL up to this point, but got ran all over by Derrick Henry. Also, the Commanders hung 42 on the Cardinals, so I guess just give Jaden Daniels the Offensive Rookie of the Year right now. And Anthony Richardson got hurt, so it's Joe Flacco time. On to week 5, which started with Bucs Falcons, and Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards in an overtime win. Caleb Williams had his breakout game against the Panthers, and Jaden Daniels continues to play like an MVP. Joe Flacco won in his first start as a Colt, but come on, is there any reason to talk about any other week 5 game when this game happened? This one was an instant classic. 2 of the best QBs in the league going at it. Defense was not played. Joe Burrow with 5 touchdowns, Lamar with 4 of his own. This game came down to whichever offense made a mistake first, and unfortunately for the Bengals, Joe Burrow threw an interception to Marlon Humphrey, which set up a game-tying field goal for the Ravens, and overtime. However, Baltimore then made a mistake as Lamar Jackson coughed up the football, but in a sequence of events that basically encapsulates the entire Bengals season, they could not move the ball and missed the game-winning field goal. Derrick Henry then said screw this, ran for 51 yards, and the Ravens kicked a field goal to win it. This was the game of the year so far. Man, I love football. Week 6 time, the Bears killed the Jags in London, and Caleb had his best game by far. It's looking like the Bears offense is going to be a great one this season. We also got 2 new rookie quarterbacks that got to start. Drake May lost to the Texans, but played pretty well, and Spencer Rattler lost to the Bucks and didn't play that well. Although to be fair, it's hard to win when your defense allows 51 points. Anyway, the Lions got revenge on the Cowboys for last year and tried multiple times to get an offensive lineman a touchdown, which was really funny. You know, it's been a while. Let's check in with the Jets. They're playing the Bills on Monday Night Football. Let's see if Robert Saleh can get these guys a win. And where's Robert Saleh? Oh shit, he got fired. Well, let's see if Jeff Olbert can lead his guys to a win, and they lost, committed 11 penalties, and their defense was ass. Amazing. The Jets always find a way to ruin things, don't they? Anyway, on to week 7. How about we look at the Jets first? They're playing the Steelers, who are starting Russell Wilson for the first time. The Jets defense should be able to handle Mr. Unlimited, right? No, they can't. Maybe if they hadn't fired their defensive head coach, their defense wouldn't be so shit. God damn it, New York. Ever since that cataclysmic event on September 11th, New York just hasn't been the same. The Aaron Rodgers injury, it really killed them. Anyway, there really isn't anything else to talk about in week 7. The Bucs lost both their wide receivers, so that really sucks. The Chiefs remain undefeated despite Mahomes having more interceptions than touchdowns somehow. Marcus Mariota hung 40 on the Panthers because Panthers. Well, there actually is one more notable thing. Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles and will miss the season, so the Browns are finally free from him. Also, the Eagles won 28-3. Isn't 28-3 just the best score? Is it? Is it? I'm talking to you, Atlanta. Is it? Alright, enough traumatizing Falcons fans. Let's move on to week 8. And it starts with ref ball. I want you, yes, you, the person watching this video, to first subscribe, and then pretend you're an NFL referee. More specifically, you are the back judge and you see this play. Do you A, call a face mask, or B, call a roughing the passer penalty? Well, the correct answer is none of those, you stupid idiot. You do option C, ignore the blatant penalty and call a safety, and then immediately head to the nearest eye doctor. This is yet another reason why huge penalties like this should be reviewable. Anyway, on to the rest of week 8. The Jets lost to Jacoby Brissett and the Patriots because of course they did. Jameis Winston beat the Ravens on his first start as a Brown because of course he did, and the Lions dropped 52 points on the Titans. Jared Goff threw for 85 yards all game. That's it. The Lions are just the best team in the league now. Bryce Young came back in relief of Andy Dalton and played well, but still lost to the Broncos. And the Commanders won on a Hail Mary. Wait, the Commanders won on a Hail Mary? Yep. After not scoring a touchdown all game, the Commanders scored a Hail Mary to win. I mean, I got nothing. The Bears, dude. They always find new ways to lose. Next up, week 9, by far the most boring week so far. Jets won, so good for them. Bryce Young won, and Dennis Allen got fired, so that's cool. Joe Burrow put up 41 on the Raiders. Lamar put up 41 on the Broncos. Dak unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury against the Falcons. I mean, there were a couple interesting moments, but outside of the Chiefs-Bucs game, there wasn't really anything special. Week 10 was special, however. It started with a Bengals-Ravens rematch, and yet again, defense was not played at all. But in the end, the Ravens won, despite Jamar Chase going for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns, completely demolishing both the Ravens secondary and my mental health. I went against him in fantasy. Anyway, the Vikings barely beat the Jaguars because Sam Darnold can't just go a year without having a truly awful game. It's like his canon event or something, it has to happen every year. The Bears lost to the Patriots 19-3 and fired Shane Waldron. The Cardinals killed the Jets. The Chiefs went off a blocked field goal because Chiefs, and Jared Goff beat the Texans despite throwing 5 interceptions. You just can't make this shit up. Even when the Chiefs and Lions try their hardest to lose, they still win. Unbelievable. On to week 11, where it finally happened. It finally happened. The Chiefs suffered their first loss of the season to the Bills. It's a miracle. They still might three-peat, but they won't go 17-0. There were a couple other interesting games this week. Anthony Richardson returned and played the best game of his career, beating the Jets by a point. The Bears played the Packers really tight, but lost because of a blocked field goal. The Packers really borrowed the Chiefs' black magic and used it on their division rival. That's cold. The Ravens and 49ers both lost important ones, and the Broncos killed the Falcons. Bo Nix is now in competition for Rookie of the Year. Daniel Jones got released, and the Lions scored 52 against the Jags. They just love tormenting AFC South teams, don't they? Final week so far, week 12, and it might just have been the wildest one yet. For starters, Jameis Winston beat the Steelers in a snow game, which was pretty cool. You can't ever go wrong with a snow game, unless you're actually at the game, then it's probably not that fun. The Chiefs barely beat the Panthers, with Bryce Young having the best game of his career. Unfortunately, the Panthers' defense is still hot garbage. The Tommy DeVito-led Giants couldn't do anything against the Bucs, and the Vikings won a wild one in overtime against the Bears. Caleb played the best game of his career, but in the end, more heartbreak for the Bears. The Lions completed their season sweep of the AFC South, and the Ravens beat the Chargers in the Harbaugh Bowl. Saquon Barkley had over 300 scrimmage yards against the Eagles and single-handedly saved my fantasy team, and the Commanders had the absolute worst special teams game of all time and lost to Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. Week 12 was just a fun week, unless you're a 49ers fan. In that case, I feel bad for you. But there we go, an overview of the entire 2024 NFL season so far. But don't go yet, there's still more to discuss. Chapter 2, Winners and Losers. In this section, I'll go over 5 different winners and losers from this season. These can be players or entire teams and can range from surprisingly good seasons to improbable disasters. Winner number 1, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders had to be on this list. Nobody expected them to do anything this year, but here they stand at 7-5, and Jane Daniels is looking like a franchise quarterback. It's very 2023 Houston Texans-like, where the second overall pick drastically exceeds expectations, and the team is the playoff contender. They are in the middle of a 3-game losing streak, but overall, the Commanders have been better than anyone could have thought. Give them one offseason and they can become real contenders. Loser number 1, the New York Jets. Just like the Commanders had to be on the winners list, the Jets had to be on the losers list. They came into the season with Super Bowl aspirations and are currently sitting at 3-8 without a real head coach or general manager. Since firing Robert Saleh, the Jets are 1-5, and it seems like that move was a big mistake. I'm not surprised at all though. I made a whole video on why I think this was a bad move, and it turns out I and many others were correct. The Jets have so much talent, but they play undisciplined, sloppy football. I don't know what their future looks like, but I do know it's darker than Aaron Rodgers' darkness retreats. Winner number 2, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has never been in a good situation. Both the Jets and the Panthers set him up for failure, not giving him the proper coaches or talent to succeed. Last year, Darnold got to sit behind Brock Purdy and learn from Kyle Shanahan, and this year, under Kevin O'Connell, Darnold is in the midst of the best season of his career. He's currently 9th in passing yards and 4th in passing touchdowns, and has the Vikings sitting at 9-2. He finally has a proper supporting cast around him with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Aaron Jones. He's had a couple Sam Darnold moments, notably the Jaguars game in Week 10, but overall he's played like a top 20 quarterback, which nobody saw him as coming into the year. I don't know if he stays with Minnesota or not, but he's definitely earned himself a nice contract with somebody next year. Loser number 2, the New York Giants. The Giants have had a rough season. Not only are they just 2-9, but they released their $160 million quarterback Daniel Jones. Jones was horrible this year, throwing for just over 200 yards a game, 8 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. The Giants' offense is currently last in points per game with 14.8, and their defense isn't great either, allowing 22.9 points per game, good for 17th. The Giants weren't expecting to be contenders, but this is even worse than they thought. Also, to add insult to injury, Saquon Barkley, who the Giants released in order to pay Daniel Jones, is currently in the midst of a career year with the division rival Eagles, and already has more rushing yards in 11 games this season than he ever did with the Giants. But on the bright side, Giants fans, Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy do look good, and you are in prime position to draft a quarterback with a high pick, so you do have a future. Winner number 3, the Denver Broncos. Similar to the Commanders, the Broncos have had a season where their rookie quarterback is exceeding expectations, and they're currently in playoff contention despite many not thinking they would do anything. I know I surely didn't. Bo Nix is firmly in the offensive rookie of the year conversation, and the Broncos defense has been amazing this year. Vance Joseph has really turned this unit around. Sean Payton is doing a great job playing to Bo Nix's strength, and Payton honestly has Nix playing like a mini Drew Brees. Cortland Sutton is an incredibly underrated wide receiver, and they also have had breakout seasons from Jonathan Cooper and Zach Allen on defense. The Broncos might not win the Super Bowl, but damn, do they have a bright future. Loser number 3, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Burrow and Chase are both in the midst of the best seasons of their careers, as both are on pace to finish this season with the most yards and touchdowns of their careers. Despite not having a great running game, the Bengals are still 6th in points per game, with 27. However, their defense is 28th in points per game allowed at 26.9, which is the main reason that the Bengals are 4-7. The Bengals are 2-5 in games where they scored 25 or more points, and 2-3 in games where they scored 30 points. The Bengals record is obviously not on Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase, because if they didn't have those two, the Bengals might be 2-9 right now. While it's great that they're having the best seasons of their careers, it's not translating to team success, and that puts them on the losers list. It has to be so frustrating for them, knowing how good they're playing yet not winning anything. Winner number 4, Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders. As of right now, Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders are the current top 2 quarterbacks, and it's looking like the Giants are going to end up picking number 1 at the end of the season. The Giants would be a great landing spot for a rookie quarterback, as they already have a certified number 1 wide receiver in Malik Neighbors, and they seem to have a running back of the future in Tyrone Tracy. And most importantly, they have a head coach in Brian Daboll that was able to turn Josh Allen, a super raw prospect, into one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he was with Buffalo. Whether the Giants pick Ward or Sanders, they will be placed into a very comfortable situation. Loser number 4, Jerry Jones. Before the season, Jerry Jones claimed that the Cowboys were, quote, going all in. He then proceeded to sign old, washed-ass Ezekiel Elliott as his only free agent signing and paid 31-year-old Dak Prescott $60 million a year. The Cowboys then went 3-5 before Dak got hurt, and then Jerry Jones decided to make another blockbuster move by trading a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo, the Panthers wide receiver number 5. And on top of all of that, Mike McCarthy still has a job. The Cowboys now sit at 4-7, way out of playoff contention, with multiple people they need to extend, including Micah Parsons. They're one of the worst teams in the league right now, and at this point, Jerry just needs to hang it up. Winner number 5, the Detroit Lions. How could the Lions not be here? Everybody expected the Lions to be good, but nobody expected them to be this good. The Lions are currently 10-1 and on a 9-game winning streak. They have the best offense in the league, scoring an insane 32.7 points per game, a full 2.4 points per game more than the Ravens, who are in 2nd place. They also have the 2nd best defense in the league, allowing just 16.6 points per game, only behind the Chargers with 15.9. The Lions have scored more than 40 points 4 times and more than 50 points twice. They hold the number 1 and number 2 spot for most points in a single game this season, and hold 4 out of the top 10 spots. They are the best team in the NFL, and everybody knows it, and nobody wants to play against them. Loser number 5, the refs. It's no shocker that officiating has been at an all-time bad this year. Whether it's missed calls on important plays or questionable penalties that shouldn't be called, NFL officials are not doing a great job at officiating the game. I get officiating's hard, but it seems like this year's worse than ever. Defenders are scared to hit quarterbacks because they're worried they're going to get penalized. Games are being stopped more frequently than ever because the on-field refs have to constantly use replay assist to help with the calls, despite being right in front of the play. Every single game, announcers are questioning the refs' decisions. Every single game, the rules analysts that appear during the broadcast are disagreeing with the refs' calls. I understand if it happens once every so often. I even understand if it happens once or twice a week, but it happens damn near every game. Either make certain penalties reviewable or hire new ref crews, because right now, the state of officiating in the NFL is at an all-time low. But those are my 5 winners and losers for the first half of the 2024 NFL season. Chapter 3, Midseason Awards. This section is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to give my Midseason Awards. This is not who I think will win them, this is who I think should win them. Comeback Player of the Year, J.K. Dobbins, Los Angeles Chargers. Dobbins has suffered through many brutal injuries throughout his career, playing just 9 games in the past 3 years. This year, however, he has managed to stay healthy and is having a great season. He has 766 yards on 158 attempts for 4.8 yards per carry, as well as 8 touchdowns. He scored a touchdown in 6 out of the Chargers' 11 games so far, and is an integral part of their offense. Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota Vikings. To say O'Connell has made magic happen is an understatement. He's taken a Vikings team that came into the year with many questions and has them sitting at a 9-2 record. He has revived Sam Darnold's career, and it's clear that the players and staff love him. O'Connell isn't perfect, but he's done a damn good job this season. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse, Los Angeles Rams. This was a really tough decision between Jared Verse and Quinton Mitchell, as both have been amazing and honestly deserve this award, but in the end, I decided to give it to Verse, who has been sensational this year. He has 49 pressures, which is 6th in the entire NFL. He has 4.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a pass rush win rate of 18.6%, which is better than Josh Hines-Allen and Micah Parsons. He isn't Aaron Donald, but man has Verse been a phenomenal replacement for him. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders. While Bo Nix is in the running, I can't give this award to anybody but Jaden Daniels. He has turned this franchise around in a very similar way to when CJ Stroud did last year. Daniels has 2,613 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions. He's just a 1.6% turnover-worthy play percentage compared to a 4% big-time throw percentage. On the ground, Daniels has 99 carries for 556 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Commanders currently are 7-5 with the 5th most points per game in the NFL at 27.8. Daniels has been phenomenal. Not everything is perfect, and the Commanders are on a 3-game losing streak, but Daniels has overall been an amazing quarterback who has really helped the Commanders have a surprisingly great season. Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns. Steelers fans aren't going to like this one, but I have Myles Garrett as my Defensive Player of the Year. It was really between him and Trey Hendrickson, who has also been great. Garrett is currently tied for 4th in the NFL in pressures with 52, tied for 3rd in sacks with 10, 3rd in quarterback hurries with 40, tied for 2nd in forced fumbles with 3, and is the highest pass rush win rate among active pass rushers with at least 100 pass rushing snaps at an insane 24.7%. He is the highest PFF pass rushing grade among active pass rushers with a 92.6 grade. He has a 10% missed tackle rate, which is better than TJ Watt and Trey Hendrickson. He is a true game wrecker, and in my opinion, as of right now, deserves a 2nd Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. Some people may not like this, but I simply can't give the award to one of the two. Both of these running backs have had incredible seasons. Henry has 1,325 yards and a league-leading 15 total touchdowns. He has 6 yards per carry and forced 44 missed tackles and is the highest PFF grade among running backs. Saquon Barkley has league-leading 1,392 rushing yards with 6.2 a carry, as well as 12 total touchdowns, 38 missed tackles forced, and also has 265 receiving yards. Both of these players are on pace to end the season with over 2,000 scrimmage yards. Let me know in the comment section which one of these two you think deserves the Offensive Player of the Year more. For me, they both do, and at the end of the season, the final decision is going to be tough. MVP, Lamar Jackson. For me, Jackson is the only person in consideration for MVP right now. Joe Burrow and Josh Allen deserve their praise, but Lamar has been on a different level than anybody else. He leads the NFL in total touchdowns with 30, leads the NFL in both passing and rushing yards, is tied for the best turnover-worthy play percentage at just 1.4%, has just 3 interceptions, which, if you watch them, aren't even on him, and he leads the league in both PFF passing grade and overall grade. He leads the 2nd best offense in the NFL in terms of points per game with 30.3, and is doing all of this with a defense that is allowing 24.5 points per game, good for 23rd. I think this is the best we've ever seen Lamar Jackson play, and right now, I think he deserves his 3rd MVP. Chapter 4, Future Projections. For the last main chapter of the video, I'm going to project what I think is going to happen the rest of the season. I'll start with my division winners. For the AFC East, I have the Bills winning. None of the other teams really have a chance at this point. I think the Ravens will come back and win the AFC North. Pittsburgh is a little shaky right now, and the Ravens don't have a particularly difficult schedule. The AFC South is easy. I'm taking Houston. Nobody else can even compete with them right now. And for the AFC West, I think the Chiefs win it. Chargers and Broncos are good teams, but the Chiefs are just better, and they have the tiebreaker. On to the NFC, where I think the Eagles win the NFC East. The Commanders are their only competition right now, and I think the Eagles are the better team. The NFC North is also pretty easy. The Lions are going to win it. The Vikings will be good competition, but even if it comes down to their Week 18 matchup, the Lions are going to win that game. The NFC South is a bit trickier, as both the Falcons and Bucks are competing for it. I do think the Falcons end up winning it, however, as they have a pretty easy schedule and beat the Bucks both times they played them. And finally, I think the Cardinals win the NFC West. They have a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way, and they have the tiebreaker over the 49ers and Rams. As for the playoffs, I think it's a lock that the Lions make the Super Bowl in the NFC, barring a terrible injury or collapse. The AFC is a bit trickier, but I think it comes down to 3 teams: the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills. The Bills beat the Chiefs but lost to the Ravens beat the Bills but lost to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs beat the Ravens but lost to the Bills. Due to the Chiefs likely finishing with the 1 seed, however, I think they will make the Super Bowl due to their home field advantage throughout the playoffs. In the Super Bowl though, I think the Lions will come out on top and win their first Super Bowl in franchise history. They are elite on both sides of the ball, they have an elite coaching staff, and are all around a phenomenal team that, let's be honest, deserves a ring. Chapter 5, Final Thoughts. Well, this NFL season has been a wild one for sure. There's been many ups and downs for every team, although of course that depends on your favorite team. But if I had to give one final takeaway from this season, it's just to enjoy it. Whether your team is the 10-1 Lions or the 2-9 Giants, whether your team has a franchise quarterback like Lamar Jackson or a backup like Desmond Ridder, whether your team has been surprisingly good or surprisingly bad, let's just enjoy the game of football. If you ended up enjoying this video, then please hit that like button and subscribe. These videos take a lot of time and it would really mean a lot. Thank you, and I'll see you Saturday for my Week 13 predictions.